Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a little rant for you. I have recently made a big change to my flashlight collection, to my everyday carry stash, to my overall flashlight preparedness strategy. I wanted to talk a little bit about it and give you a little bit of background on changes that have happened, in my life about that. One note for photosensitive viewers, talking about flashlights, there's a pretty good chance something's going to flash on the screen. Hopefully not an issue, but this is a video you can probably just listen to, so you can mow the lawn and such the way you listen. But anyways, I want to rant for a little bit about both the evolution of my thinking in the flashlight domain as well as a recent change that I've made. First off, I've looked at a lot of flashlights, right? I'm not a pro. I'm not an expert, right? There are true experts in flashlight review. Zero Air flashlight reviews. Tony Scullambrini is really, really good at, all of those folks. The Candle Power forums, folks. Even Advanced Knife Pro is way better at flashlight reviews than I am, but I've looked at them for a long time. When I started off, a lot of them were very simple devices, right? You had a click on the back that is a physical switch that disconnects and connects the battery, and then someplace on the body you have an emitter on the front, and someplace in the body you have a little thing that you can unscrew and get a battery out of it. This is using a AA size battery, although this is a USB-C rechargeable AA. Neat little trick. But anyways, this is a very simple light, and the mechanism for using it is quite straightforward, right? You click the little switch, and then if you want it to be brighter, you click the switch again, and then so on and so forth. But it's simple, it's easy, it just freaking works, right? And if something goes wrong with the battery, you put a new battery in there. No freaking problem. So that's good. Once I got to there, though, and after I looked at a bunch of those, like zebra lights, etc., I thought, well, maybe we can do better. The technology has evolved, right? And so I looked at some more modern, more technologically fancy lights like this guy. It's the ThruNite Neutron 2C, right? This is a light here that has a button on the side, but it's no longer a battery disconnect. It's a digital sort of button, and if I hold the button down, you'll see that the light gets, right now it's getting dimmer, but if I hold it long enough, it'll start getting brighter again. So you get infinite adjustment, which is nice. And on the back side of it, you get a USB port. It's a micro USB, but it's an old light. But do not put micro USB on anything anymore. USB-C is better. Even Apple acknowledges it as of this morning, right? So it's dead. But anyways, I digress. So I like that element. And inside here, this is just an 18650 battery. You can just swap it out there. And if the light goes out and you don't have time to charge it here, you just put in a new 18650 and you're freaking done. It's good to go. So this is a light that has some modern affordances, right? The built-in charging, the infinite adjustment, etc. It offers you some advantages. And this is a light I've recommended a bunch, and it's still a solid light. It's worked pretty well for me, right? But then I got seduced because I was thinking, wow, this little bit of technology adds something. What about more? And so I started looking at more. And this brought me into this world, right? This is the 10,000 lumen Nitecore TM10K. And to be clear, there are intermediate stages, right? This is the Olight Marauder 2. This is a light I've never actually reviewed on the channel and won't be because it has a non-serviceable battery, but I just bought this guy for myself. And it has a fancy controller. In order to unlock it, you need to turn this thing more than halfway. It's a little bit of a pain in the neck, but once you do that, you can turn this little dial here to turn the light up and down, etc. It has built-in sensors to make sure that it doesn't, turn on while it's right up against something at high levels. You can adjust the, pattern of it so it's either spotty or floody. There's a lot to like about it. And then on the back, there's a big USB connector, but this has the downside of a non-replaceable battery. I think there are the tutorials and such you can follow, but by and large, the way that you service this battery is you send it back to Olight. That depends on Olight existing and wanting to service it, right? Because they could just say, oh, well, that's a shame. And I have no reason to believe they would do this, but they could just, in theory, say, yeah, it's a shame. I guess you'll have to buy a new one. Whoops. And that's kind of crappy. But anyway, so this is like an intermediate level of techie, right? You have a weird interface now. You have to think about how to unlock it rather than you press the damn button. But, it offers some affordances, but it has the built-in battery. And then there was this guy. This is the 10,000 lumens from Nitecore, and this offers some big perks, right? This has a display. This tells me the lumen output, the voltage of the battery, as well as a visual indication, as well as the amount of runtime I have and the emitter temperature. Right? That's kind of a cool thing. And when I first got it, it was like, wow, that's revolutionary. It's like there's a computer in my pocket that puts out light. Cool. And it had crazy amounts of runtime. Well, okay, crazy amounts of output, reasonable amounts of runtime. There was a lot to love about this guy at that time. It is unfortunately also a built-in battery sort of light, which is, well, not good, because remember, batteries are consumable. Sooner or later, the battery will need to be replaced, and if you have to replace the light to replace the battery, or to trust that the maker is going to make it right for you, which is not always something you can count on. Again, I have no reason to believe that Nitecore isn't going to stand behind their product, but you don't want to ever be reliant on the goodness of some business's heart when they could just charge you more money. But that, and then the T4K, which is a similar sort of approach, or, these little candy bar style lights have a very technologically focused approach, have built-in batteries, and although they offer some neat features, they have a downside. And I recently rediscovered this downside. The other day, I was at home, right, and we had a power outage. This is what happens when you have a company where it feels like your power company, in my personal opinion, is entirely regulatory, capturing the market, and is an unregulated monopoly, which is able to turn the screws on its customers, in my personal opinion, however it feels like. And so as a result, you get very poor service at very high cost. Anyways, I completely digress. That I have no opinions about that in any way, shape, or form. But anyways, I digress. The power went out, and it was nighttime, right? And so, not a huge concern, right? I go shut off the UPS for the computer. Sure, well, I have to shut the computer down. And then, I got to go find flashlights. So I go up, go to my office, and then I go to the flashlight drawer, and I pull out, first thing, TM10K, thinking, okay, great. As I find other things, I'll have 10,000 lumens in my pocket. Press the button. In that case, nothing happened. Not even a little, not a thing. The display didn't light up. I pressed another button, didn't happen. Not a damn thing worked. I realized at that moment that, it must have drained itself. And that's a thing that this light does, unfortunately. It does have a passive drain amount. I had charged this up to 4.2 volts recently, and it has dropped down to 4.1 in the intervening week and a half or so. But it had drained itself completely, and as a result, the flashlight, even though I had charged it maybe 6 months ago, was dead as a doornail sitting in my box. Pulled out this guy, and I went to turn it on, and it was locked out. And I couldn't figure out at that very moment how to unlock it. Now, this is a me problem. I'd like to be clear. I am an idiot. But I also would appreciate my tools to be resistant to idiots like myself. And so this guy, for whatever reason, wasn't working. And then I reached into the box there and I grabbed this out. This is a JetBeam RRT01. And this is the third revision of that sort of thing. And it is a very, very simple light, right? It has a little clicker on the back that turns it on, and it has a little ring on the front that adjusts the output, and it adjusts it continuously and smoothly. The emitter in it is a Chia light, and there's no other fancy thing about it. There's no USB, there's no display, there's no nothing. Reached in, turned it on, this guy worked. And it worked like a charm. And I reached in and I grabbed the other one that I happened to have in there because I liked this light enough that it was like, okay, well, maybe I should have two of them, right? I can, carry one. And that one worked too, beautifully. And then I, grabbed this guy. And at that point, we had enough lights that we could, and we were okay. But the fact is that the first two lights that I grabbed for didn't work for two different reasons. I probably could have fidgeted around with this guy, got it working eventually, but ultimately the thing that worked well in that moment when I needed it to was the simple tool, right? It was the tool that has a button that clicks on and off so it doesn't passively drain, and it has a brightness adjustment that you just turn, and it worked. And you know what? If the battery had been dead, I could just unscrew, take out the battery and put in a new one, and you know what? The light freaking works. Right? That's a lovely thing in and of itself. And that was revelatory to me. I was already, after the light to repair thing, I was already feeling a little bit down about other form factors in lights and about the non-replaceable batteries. Because remember, because this guy was dead at that moment, I couldn't put a new battery in it and get 10,000 lumens anymore. Right? I had to wait for power to come back on to recharge the thing. Which is ugly. But that just reminded me that, you know what? The simple tools are often the ones that work. I didn't grab this guy because it was at the bottom of the drawer. But anyways, it was mostly there as desk candy. So these guys worked where none of my other lights did, or at least where those other two didn't, right? I have others scattered around. This guy happened to be working, but that's because I had charged it a couple of weeks before for the hurricane, because apparently San Diego gets hurricanes now. It was mostly just a rainy and windy day, so I'm not complaining. We're lucky. But still, it worked because I had prepared in that particular way. I hadn't done that with the others. But this made me just think, you know what? Damn it, I'm tired. the one thing, if I am not going to focus a large part of my life on flashlights, I need the flashlights I have to just work fine on their own. And I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about, oh, how do you unlock this one? What's the setting? I just want to be freaking done with it. I want to standardize. I want to just have a light that I use that works and no freaking problem. And so I did what any ridiculous human would do. I went out and I bought freaking more of them. Right, I went to Illumination Shop or whatever it's called, and I picked up 3 more of these. Why this? Well, because it's the best light I've ever used. I'm going to be real here. This is not sponsored, by the way. I have no fiduciary relationship. JetBeam has never reached out to me once. I don't believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. Anyways, I sure as hell didn't get these any cheaper. I spent a bunch of freaking money on these guys, on some 18650s, etc. And one of the other nice things... Stop. Yeah, I know, I get an appointment soon, good God. Anyways, one of the other nice things about these things is that you can take out this little intermediate spacer deal and just drop in an 18350, and you know what? You got yourself a pocket light. Hey, easy freaking peasy, right? And you know what? If that 18350 goes bad, I just replace it. Hey, easy peasy. And so I picked up a bunch of these. I picked up some 18650s and some ones that have a USB recharge in them, right? These are micro USB. It was what was available, but still, this is something I can charge while I'm traveling, right? Or on the go, or in my office or something like that. That's not particularly hard. This just works. But I ended up deciding that, you know what? I'm freaking done with fancy lights that don't necessarily just work. And to be clear, these other lights would work fine. If I had done a bunch of preventative maintenance, if I used that every night, it would be charged every day, and it would probably be just fine until the battery died, and I couldn't. Anyways, so I just decided, screw it. I am standardizing on something simple, and it's over, and we're done. These are going to be my main flashlight, right? I will put, now that I've done this video, I will scatter these to the wind. I will put them in my backpack. I will put, well, not them, like 5 lights in my backpack. At that point, I better make a bandolier. But anyways, I'll, scatter them about the home, because I know, in the car, because I know they freaking work. Right? And because they are very easy to use, my wife knows how to use these and likes them because, get just the amount of, it's a very intuitive thing. The Nichia emitter is great. It just is a solid choice. And so at this point in time, this is my flashlight, right? This is the flashlight I use and will be using. I also have, by the way, the first generation RRT01, which is the light that I keep on my disassembly table for doing that. And I have a second gen, which doesn't have a clicky switch in the back. Actually, didn't like that at first when they came out with the clicky version, but then I realized it's kind of nice to be able to set your brightness and then click it on and off and get the same brightness back. Anyways, and then she is great, but this is the decision I made. I'm done with the fancitude, right? I am done with the crazy electronics. I am done with, I just want a freaking simple tube light where you put in a battery, you click it, and it turns on, and it turns off, and and that's a beautiful thing. So from here out, I'm probably not going to do much in the way of flashlight reviews, partly because everything everybody's selling has built-in batteries, because it's almost like you can make more money selling people a new light in 3 years. I'm not saying that's always why they do it, but I'm saying that could be a reason why it happens. But I just moved on, and I've moved on to something simple, not the cheapest thing ever. Each one of these guys is, I think, about $90, but nonetheless, it is a good choice. It is a good solution, and it is a solution that I know will work and that I can feel better prepared with. And at that point, I think that's about it. So I might do another flashlight video. I might not. This may be where I stop. Maybe I'll just focus on knives and watches and pens and other crazy stuff. Better at it anyways. But I just figured I'd give you all an update. Let you know what happened. Not that you oh my God, what happened during the bout? But, just tell you a little bit more about what I'm thinking, how my thinking's evolved, and give you that option to think a little bit about how your products, how your flashlights are working, and whether you're going to be able to count on them when they have, some problems happen. So anyways, there you go. Hope this has been interesting to you, and have yourself just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.